fix that or somebody else?
I got it from the specialist.
Were they complaining about the love that you're showing to the other units in your shirts? And
Absolutely. So they brought me one and asked me to wear it.
Is that what, like a,
Mixtape cover?
says Figos?
Yeah. Field goals.
Oh my God.
Hence the uprights.
How long are you going to wear that after this press conference? Does it come off right after the press conference? Or?
No, I'll walk around with it.
Ron, obviously with the storm coming to Charlotte, are there any specific preparations you guys are planning on? Are you leaving early, anything like that you thought?
Well, we're for the most part have several contingency plans. I know that Brian Porter, Eddie Levins, and Marty, along with Mr. Tepper, have been trying to make contingency plans and, have something in place for our players, for their families. And our thoughts and prayers most certainly go to everybody that's in the path of this hurricane, just to make sure everybody's, safe. But we do have, a few plans, and as each day goes by, we'll see where we are before we make any decisions.
Does one of those involve or include maybe going down there Friday?
Yeah, I mean, everything's up in the air right now, but we've talked about a lot of scenarios and things that we got to consider.
Trey get concussed in the game?
Apparently so. He came in, wasn't feeling well, and because of that, we put him in the protocol, and he'll go through the steps of the protocol.
Meany getting work there in his absence?
Yeah, Meany's getting work there, Tyler Larson's getting work there, Brandon Mann. I mean, we've got a number of guys that can work the position, so we feel pretty confident and comfortable there.
We got a chance to talk to you yesterday. Obviously not great injury news where Daryl and Greg were concerned.
Well,
Reach a point in this thing, or how many more of these can you take?
well, you do get concerned about it, but I feel very comfortable in the depth we've had. I mean, we did some things consciously as far as, the number of offensive linemen we kept on the roster when we initially set it. And so far, it's been one of those things we've been able to pull from those guys. So we feel pretty comfortable about it. I like the work that being put in right now by the guys that are available.
Famini's over at right guard now. Who's at right tackle?
Oh, we're all working. We got a combination of things to go through, guys, and just like last week, we really won't know where we're headed until well after Friday.
What made Chris Clark the decision? What made him the guy in Marty's mind?
Well, I think about Chris is here's a veteran guy, that's done it. He's started in this league, started a whole bunch of games in this league, and he's in great shape right now. So we felt really good about bringing a guy in that does things the right way. And we had a lot of good reports about him. We talked to several people that know him and have all felt that this guy would be a guy that could come in and help us. So he got an opportunity to work today and looked pretty good.
Obviously, he and Corey can get reps at tackle. Has Brendan gotten any reps at tackle?
We have worked Brendan at tackle, but quite honestly, he really is a guard, So we'll continue to work those guys and those different combinations of guys the next couple days, and just kind of, draw our conclusions based off of what we've seen. And, last week we did the same thing.
Do you think Clark fits more on the right side, and is he a plug-and-play kind of guy?
Well, he is a plug-and-play kind of guy, but, we've got to see again. We don't want to make any quick decisions or anything. We want to, give these guys an opportunity to work through it, and we'll go from there.
You guys didn't sign another tight end. Are you guys comfortable right now, or is Alex
Yes.
role step up?
Yes and yes. Very comfortable with who we have at the position right now. We think those combination of three guys that you mentioned, Chris Manhertz, Ian Thomas, and Alex Arma. We think all three of those guys can fill the roles for us that we need. We feel very comfortable with all three of those guys. They've done a great job for us. So, we'll go forward with that for now.
Does the game plan change at all with
No.
Ian instead of Greg?
No, game plan doesn't change at all. As I said, we feel those three guys can carry the load.
What does playing a guy like Julio Jones, covering a guy like that year over year, teach a cornerback as he kind of progresses through his journey?
Well, there are several things you've got to learn, obviously, about who you're playing, and study and study and study, and that's what our corners are doing. They're trying to look back at their notes, think about the things that we've tried to do against some things that we've done, the things that have been successful, not a lot, but enough that have been successful. and things that we've done haven't been as successful. But you've got to find the right mix. You got to find the things that we do well and try to capitalize on those. I mean, he's a hell of a player. We know who he is. We know what he's capable of. That's for darn sure.
I guess to be more specific, Julio against Bradbury, seeing him a couple times a year, I would imagine really catapults him into a baptism by fire, I guess, every time he plays him.
Well, that's what it was originally, and we put him there in a tough position, but 2016 was not one of our better years, obviously. But again, a big part of it is he competes against him, and Dante Jackson will get an opportunity to compete against him as well, as will captain. So, our guys are going to be tested, and we have to make sure that we're giving these guys the tools to compete.
All right, you went through this last year with being without Greg. I mean, who do you look to step up? Who has to take those catches?
Well, as I said earlier, it's one of those three guys. I mean, we think that those three guys give us a combination and a mixture of the things that Greg does. They all three block well. They're all good catchers. They catch the ball well. Ian is the fastest of the three of them, and so we have a good mix, and we just feel that based on what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, they're all going to get their opportunity to do something for us that Greg would normally be doing.
Sometimes Cam says the Atlanta game means something extra to him. Sometimes he says it's just another game. That was his thing today. What do you think it means to him?
Well, it's another game that means a little something extra because it's another game. The approach is, guys, it's a divisional game. They're all important. I mean, and that's the truth of the matter. Whether you're playing Atlanta at home, you're playing Atlanta here, you're going to New Orleans, or New Orleans comes here, or you're going to Tampa comes here. You want to win the division, you've got to be successful in the division. And that's the truth of the matter. So, whether we're playing them here or away, it's an important game, and that's the way that we approach everything. That this is
Understanding that, Ron, I think where we're getting at is Thomas and Charles always got real hyped up to go down there.
Well,
and have you seen that with
yeah,
Cam
but,
over
but,
the years?
but I'd like to believe now that we're at the point in all of our careers that, we get hyped up, but we get hyped up for all the games now. And I think that's his approach is, this is an important game. He gets excited for all the games we play.
Dan Quinn was saying that Dante Jackson was real high up on their draft board, and obviously you guys had the earlier pick, and he was also very high up on your draft board as well. That pre-draft process, kind of feeling that competition with someone in your division, what was that like?
It is one of those things that you do look at the people in your division because to win the division you got to be able to be successful in it, and you do look at what you think they need. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure that they needed a corner, but we felt we needed somebody like Dante, and that's why we drafted him because, you've got to be able to cover your opponents. They've got big receivers. We feel we got a big corner in James Bradbury. They've got speedy, quick receivers, and we think we got a speedy, quick corner that can cover in Dante, and that's why we did what we did, more so than the fact that they may have needed a corner, but we need to be able to cover their guys, and that's why we went after a guy like Dante.
Cam also mentioned the fact that when he sees someone like Mario make the play at the end of the Dallas game that he does, it's very motivating for the offense as a whole to sort of have to live up to that same level. Have you sensed that in him this week?
I think it's all part of it because everybody wants to be able to, you want to be able to carry the load and your share of the load. And quite honestly, as I told you guys about having a special teams captain, we want to make sure that the special teams realize that they're part of this and they got to carry their load as well. So that's what you're really talking about more than anything else is that, just Cam and them want to feel that they're carrying their load. And I think they felt that they should have put some more points on the board. And I think that's really what he was getting at more than anything else.
Do you think, and it maybe was a matchup thing or what have you, but I don't think you guys took a ton of deep shots first game. Would you think, and I know that's been traditionally a big part of Nor's offense, you think you'll see more
Well,
of that?
it's funny. I know people say traditionally that's part of Nor's offense, but you really got to study what his offense is about to really get a much better feel for it. Because a lot of things have always started with the running back and the running game, and that's always been a part of it. Because if you look at the rushers he's had, I mean, the Emmitt Smiths and the LTs and the Sproulsies, even Sproulsy ran the ball well for him. So I think really it's about taking what you're given and not forcing anything. And quite honestly, I think Cam made some really good decisions. He hit some check downs and some intermediate passes that kept the chains moving. I think more so than anything else. And you know, and unfortunately, we had that turnover after the first drive. I mean, or we could have put more points on the board. So, you know, there's reasons why things look the way they do. But I think more so than anything else, I think it was about we were taking what we were being given by the defense and making plays off of that.
Ron, a few more guys. So in the first game against Dallas, your receivers, well, excuse me, the player that was leading your team in receiving yards was Christian McCaffrey. And then, you know, outside of Devin Funchess, the receivers were kind of quiet in that first game against Dallas. What do you see from them going into this game against Atlanta?
Well, I think the biggest thing more than anything else is it really does go back to we're going to try and take what we're given and make plays off of that. If we get the ball in the guys' hands that can make plays for us, I think it'll open up other things. It'll open up more things. You know, if we're running the ball effectively, we want to continue to run it. If we stretch the defense, we know we can throw the ball underneath. You know, if we're throwing the ball underneath, being patient, something deep will open up. So, you know, who we throw the ball to is going to be predicated on who's open or, you know, how he goes through his progressions. If he gets to his first progression and that guy's open, he's going to throw it to him. It might be a tight end, it might be a back. If it's a wide receiver and he's open, he may throw it to him. So, you know, do I expect him to be part of our offense? Absolutely. When? I'm not sure. You know, a lot of it just depends on the play call and how it reads out.
Because of the caliber of receivers, I know you guys are taking things one game at a time, but because of the caliber of receivers that you all will face this year, Captain Munnerlyn said he thinks this is a season where James Bradbury can make a name for himself, kind of like Xavier Woods did a couple years ago.
Well, I think it's a kind of season, or quite honestly, the division itself. I mean, you really look at the division, the quarterbacks all played well, the receivers all played well, and I think it is one that if you play well defensively, you're going to make a good name for yourself, especially in this division. If you have success as a cover guy in this division, people will take notice. I mean, you think about, you know, what they did in the Saints and Tampa Bay game. I mean, that was two explosive offenses just going vertical, and it was crazy. You know, and you know the potential that they have in Atlanta. So if you do play well in our division, then you should, you know, you can, you know, make a name for yourself.
Talking with Eric, he mentions a lot about takeaways. It was point of emphasis this year getting your corners in particular to get their hands on more passes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and you know, we've tried to put them in position to make plays, but we've also asked them to do a lot of coverage stuff. So, you know, in terms of man coverage, and so there's a fine line. You know, somewhere along that line, we've got to hit that balance, and if we hit that balance, you know, we'll get our hands on balls.
Good. Thanks, Coach.
All right, cool.